Hi, it's Jackie here. I want to tell you a bit about my life. I was born in 2012 to my parents Ricky and Lucy in a place called Big Bear Lake in California. I was the first eaglet that humans believed to have been born here. My eagle parents were the first known pair to stay year-round. I was originally named Jack after a longtime volunteer for the U.S. Forest Service. My name was changed to Jackie after I grew larger than my parents, showing I was a female. In 2015, my parents Ricky and Lucy hatched Shadow, my brother. This is not the same eagle as my mate Shadow now watching over my nest in Big Bear Valley. Friends of Big Bear Valley was able to install a nest camera. When the camera was installed, it was discovered that Lucy and Ricky moved, and the nest with the camera was empty. In 2016, as a subadult female, I was spotted hanging around with Lucy and Ricky. Friends of Big Bear Valley believed it to be me. I later took over the old nest with the camera on it and settled in with my first mate known as Mr. Big Bear or simply Mr. B. In 2017, I produced my first clutch and hatched Stormy and BBB, short for Big Bear Baby. A 24-hour rainstorm and freezing temperatures took BBB, but that is part of nature. Stormy did make it through at that time. Stormy was banded, with a band on each ankle. In 2018, a male intruder came into the nest and would not leave. He was very persistent. Fabi thought that this may be my brother Shadow at first, but the intruder was older, but the name Shadow stuck. Mr. B initially tried to chase Shadow away to protect our territory and nest, but Shadow refused to leave, lingering close by, holding his ground, and showing constant devotion to me. Mr. B eventually grew exhausted from constantly defending the territory. He quietly left the area after a final non-violent standoff and was never seen again. In 2019, Shadow and I had Simba and Cookie. Cookie died at 6 weeks old after a rain and snowstorm. Simba fledged and was last seen in August of that year. For the next 2 years, it was a struggle as none of my clutches came to life. In 2020 I had 2 eggs, but it may not have been viable to keep them. Eventually those pesky ravens got them. In 2021, I laid a total of 5 eggs. The first egg of the season was not attended to well. A raven came the next morning and destroyed the egg. Then I laid 2 more eggs. 1 egg was broken, and the other egg was eaten by a raven. I then had laid another clutch of eggs, and the first egg started to hatch in March, but by the next morning, there were no signs of life. After incubating another egg into April, we knew it did not develop. A raven cracked the egg open, the chick never fully developed. In 2022, I laid 2 eggs that January. 1 egg hatched in March and the chick was named Spirit, while the other failed. Spirit fledged successfully in May. I laid another 2 eggs in January of 2023. While the eggs were left unattended in March, ravens breached both eggs. Fabi said the eggs showed that they weren't fertilized, and no development was seen. Sadly, this was the same year that Stormy and Simba were reportedly both found, not alive. In 2024 I had a clutch of 3 eggs, none of them were successful. In 2025 I laid 3 eggs, and all 3 hatched in March. After a snowstorm in March, Misty died. Sunny and Gizmo survived and went off to do eagle things, as eagles do. This year, in 2026, I had 2 eggs, the humans think there was a crack in one, but then those pesky ravens got them again. I then had 2 more eggs in a second clutch, which Shadow and I guarded day and night, until I had to leave for a bit. You see, I probably was already not feeling well, not just because of the 2 clutches, but looking back, although I had some babies who were hatched successfully, but a lot of my eggs were not viable. I may have been sick longer than anyone could have known, even before this nesting season. But I think whatever it was, I have had for a while, and it was catching up with me. This is when everyone was looking for me. I went away for a bit. Shadow, being the good dad he is, took care of my eggs for me for about 20 hours. We eventually hatched Sandy and Luna. We took great care of them, and even though Luna gave Sandy an accidental nudge, Sandy did the eagle thing and instinct took over and she recovered beautifully from her fludge. Luna took flight shortly after. I was getting tired and weary. Humans were heard saying I need a spa day, but my eagle instincts were to take care of my babies and show them how to eagle. We did just that, until I couldn't. July 12th, Shadow brought a fish to the nest. I don't know what came over me, but I was so hungry, I needed that fish. Shadow knew I wasn't well as he moved out of the way. I slowly ate what I could until the kids came in. Sandy tried to take the fish, but Luna eventually got it. I was exhausted. I was very weak, and ended up on the ground days later as I did not have my typical eagle strength. I was seen walking on the ground. Then my human watchers saw me again. I was over at Dana Point Park in Big Bear. I was resting under some pine trees, feeling and looking pretty tired. One of the humans were able to video me. I went onto a tree branch and one of the subadults flew in and hit me from behind. I let out a squawk. I was able to fly away. Shadow eventually came down the lake and went after a seagull, then went fishing for the kids. He is a very good dad and held down the nest. I rested more on the ground and flew to a rooftop. It took a lot of wind out of me. I needed to rest a bit. I left the roof but ended up roosting with Shadow one last time. July 15th, I was back down at the lake and pulled a fish out at the shore while the ravens hung around me and watched. I called out a warning, then finished my fish. The ravens scurried in to clean up my leftovers while I got a drink. I was still very tired. I walked down the shore, rested and walked some more. When I regained a bit of strength, I flew across the lake, then rested for about an hour, and on July 17th the humans that watch me saw me slowly walking down the shoreline at Dana Point Park. This is where 2 visiting young eagles knew I was not well. They did what eagles do and tried to fight me for the territory. I rolled onto my back to defend myself. I was not injured, but sick enough that it took the wind out of me. I no longer had the strength to fly.
You probably have seen my last days in Big Bear. Some very kind humans saw me struggling and swimming. I was able to get onto a boat, but my body was not working well for me. I rested. Then the humans with the big trucks came and stood watch so I was safe, and not attacked by those things that howl in the night. In the middle of sleep time, the humans carefully picked me up and took me to make sure I didn't have my wings and legs broken or bleeding. If I could only tell them. They were kind and treated me well. The first place knew something more was wrong and I needed humans that were experts. I was moved to a place that took a long time to get there, but it was a place that could try to help me better. I think you all know it as Ojai. The humans there fed me my favorite foods, even when I could not feed myself. They made sure I was not in pain and they did everything they could for me. But in the eagle world, as with many animals, we know when we cannot continue. We accept this. We move on to the spirit world. My job on Earth is done. Thank you humans for all you have done, for your support over the years, for you saving Moon Camp so my family and future wildlife has a place in nature. It was my honor to bring the world together for a look into my life as an eagle. I did my best to teach you about eagles and nature, the good and the bad. Shadow knows I will not be returning. I give him my blessing to continue life and find someone who adores him, as he did for me. I am now free once again, a soaring spirit in the skies. I hope that my life has taught you all to harmonize and get along. I am honored for my earthly body to follow the path as my parents and ancestors have. My feathers and earthly body will be proudly honored by those peoples who have first inhabited this land. My legacy will be continued through their prayers and dance. I will live on through them. I know that humans grieve differently than eagles. That is okay. If humans feel they need a place to visit, that is okay too. Maybe there can be something at the Big Bear Discovery Center or Visitor Center. If possible, where humans are welcome. But please, I beg you, as my last wish, do not go near my nest. Please let it be for what you saved the land for. A sacred, safe place for wildlife, untouched by humans. Instead of arguing where my earthly body should be, please use your voice to help future wildlife to be safe from human destruction and waste, such as metals and poisons that kill us. Leave nothing but footprints. I would also ask that humans be kind to each other. Watch the next adventures to unfold, and honor each other. I am safe now.